Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and before we get started, if you want to know exactly how to win again and again, go to weidelonwinning.com/webinar now to watch something I've put together for you. Now let's get going into this episode of Million Dollar Mastermind. I am back with Andrea Burks from Boca Raton, Florida. Million-dollar earner. She's got a business that expands to 6 states and 20 locations. And welcome back, Andrea.
Excited to be back, Larry.
And would you talk to us? And this is a follow up. We'll take the female theme for a minute. It came up when our first episode. Uh, what did you have or do you have? What can you tell ladies who have like incredible abilities for leadership and running, and they have a drive and they've got a personality and they've got talent, but they've never done it before? They've never run a big organization, they've never been in charge. And, they might have been told things about staying in your place, don't overstep your bounds, you got other obligations, and they're afraid, they're sitting on a powder keg of ability, but they hold themselves back. In fact, let me tell you a story. It can be you just don't like the spotlight, like Annika Sorenstam, one of the greatest Hall of Fame lady golfers, lives in Orlando now. When she started out, she's from Sweden. When she started out, when she was winning tournaments on Sunday, the fourth day, on the 17th hole, she would be leading and she'd start worrying about the award ceremony when it was over, if she won, and being in front of the crowd. And they come in with a microphone and the TV's on and give her a big check and say, Annika, how does it feel to win? And, you know, you got your parents here. What does this mean to you? Some kind of stupid question like that. They always ask the same questions. Uh, but she was so afraid of being in the spotlight, she would deliberately hit a bad shot so she wouldn't win. She did that many times because she was afraid of being in the spotlight. And then she finally got over it. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that do that to them. A lot of ladies that do that. And a lot of men do that to themselves because they're afraid of the spotlight, afraid of the pressure. And it takes a certain amount. What I'm getting to is, to do great things, it takes a certain amount of courage to say, I'm going to stand up and face it because I'm just not going to hold back. I'm not going to be under a rock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I'm going in, It's like, the water's cold, but at some point you got to dive in.
Mm.
So what would you say about that? Did you go through those things that early on, taking over the leadership? Is she good enough? Can she do it? Who said she can do it? She does, that's not her role. And all of a sudden, it was you. And you not only did it, but you increased the business by 60% or so in 3 years. So what would you say? What did you have to go through? Like, these battles are fought in your mind. And so you can't stop thoughts from coming to your mind. You can say that's not logical, that's not rational, but I'm worried about it anyway. So how did you go through any of that, or what did you do, or what do you tell other uh, people that you see going through situations like that?
Yeah, of course. I certainly went through some of those thoughts, coming in and picking up the business. But the, the continuing thought is what I do matters. And I think too many people, men, women, sometimes don't believe what they do matters. As a person, as an individual. So I never felt like I have to fill someone's shoes. I knew I could walk my own shoes. Did I have doubt? Of course. But I have a good saying. It said, "You doubt your doubts and you doubt your doubters. You reject rejection and you believe your beliefs." My beliefs is that I could accomplish anything I wanted to accomplish in life as long as I was willing to fight long enough with the right intensity. I know everybody's dealt a different deck of cards, so I was not gonna think like, "Oh, why this person, that." No, 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 no. I just gotta do my part. And so, and then again, it's like no game will ever be won in defense. You got to go in offense. So yes, of course, you got to go through some stuff. But at the end of the day, that made me a better leader. That made me stronger. As I overcame tough situations in our business, in life, and I think too many people are just fearful of. Really, I think is what people think of them. But what I got to say to them is, see, if you go left, people are going to talk about you. If you go right, people are going to talk about you. If you're in the middle and do nothing, they're really going to talk about you because you're undecided, you're lazy. Well, one thing they're not going to talk about, oh, she's lazy, she's just comfortable. They're going to say, it's like, what is she doing now? So I want them to talk about how great things I'm going to do. So I challenge everybody to believe that what you do matters, make a big impact in our team, in our community, in my family. If I just did my part in that moment with just fighting my own thoughts of maybe, could I do this? Rather, I would be thinking, how can I do this? And business is common sense. You find somebody else what you want, you do what they did, and I think pretty much we'll be successful, right? As long as you put the same effort and the same intensity, just like the gym. The gym is guaranteed now. That doesn't mean that guarantees you everybody's going to win, but I knew that I just couldn't be just spare time.
So here's the thing. Uh, now, did it's different when you have a small job or a small company. It's different when you've got hundreds and hundreds of people, uh, depending on, all the families and this, that, the other. So, how do you, is that different? Dealing with that, getting yourself used to doing that to where it's natural. What would you say? Did you grow into that basically?
Hey, listen, there's a lot of information online, but there aren't a lot of people who've actually done something. In my case, I've actually built a successful business that's accrued over $5 billion dollars in assets under management and has done well even during trying times. Now, if you want to know exactly how I've done this, go to whitelmwinning.com/webinar now. I've compressed a decade of learning into 5 short weeks just for those of you who want to give yourself an incredible advantage and are tired of waiting and watching others move up.
Well, I think what helped is I was pretty involved, in every area of the business. And I think by the nature of the business, what we don't know, we find out, and we can also ask for help. I mean, I think too many people don't win because they don't ask for help. They just don't seek counsel. And so I did create a mastermind group where, like, if I needed, assistance, I go to, certain people that I knew had the business I wanted. What's that kind of business, And so I think we just got to manage situation. There's such thing as there's not big problems but small people. And I might be 5 foot Colombian, but I'm a big person to deal with many situations. And obviously I grew through it, dealing with those situations rather than just send them out there. I would just get counsel and deal with those things. But yeah, obviously, as we build a bigger team, a bigger organization, you just got to learn how to manage situations and
Yeah,
leave
well,
others.
you made a great point, and that is that when you make friends with people that are in the similar situation, yeah, the easier it is for you to realize they are just people, and they'll talk you through. And just like we're talking here, and this is why for years I wanted to do this podcast, because I have these kind of conversations all the time, but I was always thinking in the back of my mind all the people that would I wish could hear some of these conversations so they could get it out of their head that it's a big, complicated, confusing thing. Mainly, it comes down to common sense and just sitting there and saying, well, I got to do something. What am I going to do? And if that doesn't work, I'll do something else. But, and getting the other thing, and getting on the phone or uh, calling somebody up or go visit them and say, help me out. Do you know, if you read the book about Sam Walton at Walmart, he started with his five and dime store in Arkansas. But as he expanded, he was constantly going in other stores, and he wouldn't just go in other chains. He would go in, find the manager, and have a cup of coffee or a sandwich with the guy and explain who he was and tell him what he liked about how they were doing it, and have the guy, and they would discuss, which seasonal sales or which things to promote. And he was constantly going and talking to people who had bigger stores. He would even go to Europe,
Right.
by the way,
Mm.
and see the big department stores over there and get to know the president. Call him up if he wasn't in the area, or call him up and then go see him or something like that. But he was always picking the brains
Right.
of the people behind you. And I see you do. That's what I was getting at in our previous episode. I see you do that all the time. You always put yourself in position where you can stay close to the leaders, what their thinking is, what they're doing is, so you can. Timing is really important, and if you're around the hottest people in whatever your industry, your business is, you pay attention to them, talk to them, watch what they do, listen to what they say, at more than your own opinion of, you think it's going to be this. Well, look and see what the real world is saying, but then you can make your own decision. But it's an informed, you may make a gut decision, but uh, there's a big difference between an informed gut decision and just making something up and saying, I think I'm going to do that. So you've always made a point of that. And I think that's something that either ladies or people that are possibly not outgoing, uh, men and women, that they're worried about being in the leadership roles. It's like, get to know some of these people, ask some questions, get yourself educated. Plus, work like a dog. You got to work hard enough, Andrea, to where you've done enough to deserve success. Do you agree with that?
Oh, certainly. Certainly.
Because people will try and feel like, that way when they come in and they say, well, you lucked up, you were fortunate here, that fell in your lap there, and you go like, they're an idiot, you know because they have no idea what they're talking about. And what you've been through, right? So talk about the so you didn't go. Have you gone through that in stages? I mean, when you uh, uh, was that always the way you operated, or do you how do you incorporate that into how you go about it, and how do you pass that on to your team?
Well, I thank my dad. He growing up, he always gave me books
Yeah,
as part of, like, just getting better. And so one of the books he gave me, I was not even in a business yet. It was Poor Dad, Rich Dad, right? And
right.
so that just gives you an idea, okay, which environment are you a part of? And it is
Yeah,
important who you rub elbows with. That could
yeah,
totally change the trajectory for generations to come. So you
yeah.
start reading that book, you stumble upon an amazing opportunity like this. I just forced myself into situations because I always did work hard, whether it be part time, full time, did my part, did my job, to deserved and earned the opportunity to be with giants in this business, winners, dinners, stuff like that. I never took it for granted. And so as we're talking about this, like even Steve Jobs early on, like young guy working at a garage, he called Hewlett Packard, when there was like white pages, yellow pages,
Yeah.
and he called and said, "Hey, Mister Pat, Hewlett, like, you have any spare parts?" And he laughed it off, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just come by, the factory," and actually gave him an intern job. But see, we're
Ah,
willing to get uncomfortable, maybe be ridiculed. But see, the
right.
funny part is we think, oh my God, I'm bothering these people. My God, but guess what? Successful people want to help others because we know, the trajectory, the journey, and how awesome it is that obviously he did help them, and look where he is. So I always tell the team, I mean, obviously, if you think you know it all, I mean, you might as well, be done, because I never want to be the top of my class dealing with others. I want to be in an environment where I'm uncomfortable, where I'm always, they say the rubber band theory, like, when you lose tension from where you are to where you're going, you're done. I want to always feel comfortable where, like, what, you make that a month? What, like, getting me uncomfortable.
Right.
What's possible? Bill Arender talked about it just like last week. It's like, what is bigger? How much more money? More.
Right.
How could we want so little? We can have so much in life in America. So yeah, I position myself in uncomfortable situations so I can grow.
Yeah. And what people don't know about Arender is how many people that are in charity work that he supports. I mean, hundreds probably. And so it's only because he's taking advantage of his business opportunity. Somebody's got to give the money, somebody's got to support the hospitals and all of these things. And it's the people who have money, And so your role, if you got the chance to do great things, you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to take it for granted.
And crazy story, like I was very involved at church. I mean, I'm still am, but like it's just different steps. Like I remember I was at, volunteer this, that, and at some point I'm like, anybody can volunteer their time, and I don't mean to be, but like eventually, not everybody can give them money,
Right. Yeah.
We can give time and money. And that's where I wanted to get.
Yeah.
So I remember feeling some type of way because, it's not volunteering as much. I'm like thinking in my head, I'm going to volunteer time and money very soon, right? And so sometimes you have these conversations with yourself about what you're going to be able to accomplish. And obviously, you go do it. It's not just talk. Like, you got to back it up and put yourself in uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to go do this. I can have that. And when I was able to give some good charity stuff like that, that just meant the world to me, because I'm like, see, it did work out. It did work out.
Yeah. And, I think of so many people that have done so much in the arena of, friends that, I could sit here and talk for hours just about just one of them. Shelley and Tony Narain. I mean, their outreach, their things, and on and on and on and on and on. It's just, it adds richness to your life, to be able to do that. But it's not going to be there if you never work, if you never push yourself, if you never drive. You're never really going to be able to help anybody outside of yourself. You're always going to be struggling to keep yourself alive. So anyway, thanks so much for this. We're covering things that's what this is all about too, is you kind of take out some time, talk some issues through to help people get more sure of these things in their own mind, because we're always challenged. Everybody else, world full of mediocrity, they're always going to challenge you when you're trying to do something great. So proud of you, Andrea. Thanks for sharing. Looking forward to having you back next time.
Okay, my pleasure, Larry. Talk soon.
If you enjoyed what you've heard and are dead serious about finding out for yourself exactly how this works in the real world, I've taken the most valuable business lessons I've learned over 40 years and put them into something for you to watch. Go to whiteelemwinning.com/webinar now in order to move up as fast as possible. I'm Larry Weidel, and I run the $1 Million Mastermind. Go, go, go.